Well, hey everybody, I'm John Redland with another end of year show. My 20 least favorite horror movies of the last decade, including some honorable mentions. I'm going to have the companion piece for this, my 20 favorite horror movies of the last decade, with honorable mentions up a little bit after this. With this one, obviously, I cannot talk about every single bad horror movie that I've seen because otherwise we'd be here all day. You guys know I'm a big horror movie fan. Bad horror, good horror, great horror, terrible horror, doesn't matter. I will watch just about anything because I love the horror genre. Now, you have to be really careful when you say the horror genre, by the way, but this list has to be done because there have been some really great spikes in horror, but that's what I got to talk about here is the worst stuff, and I would love to hear in the comments what you guys have to say. So first, let's start off with the honorable mentions. Countdown. It's about an app that kills. Chernobyl Diaries, found footage bullshit that happens at the Chernobyl, the Chernobyl factory, the whole explosion thing and spoopy ghosts and killer dogs and stuff like that, and it wasn't very good. Wish Upon. Girl gets a box that, grants wishes, but kills people. And she keeps making wishes, not understanding what's going on. The Boy. Could have been good. Wasn't. The explanation was very obvious, and it was a pretty shit flick. Annihilation. Annihilation was one of the worst sci-fi horror movies I've seen in at least the last 20 years. VHS Viral. The third VHS movie, and my God, it was such a piece of shit that I absolutely wish they would do no more VHS movies. And I love the first two. I really love the first two, to be perfectly honest. Number 4, Devil's Due. It was more bullshit. We get Jugface, a low-budget movie about a pit that people are sacrificed to, and it wasn't good. It wasn't good. God, it was fucking so bad. And for low budget, you could do low budget horror, right? This did not do it. And then My Soul to Take. Oh boy. Not good. Not good. You got, a spirit killing kids, teens. Jeez, what does that sound like? Oh wait, I might talk about that once I get to the top 20. And then we get to number 1, The Lazarus Effect, for the honorable mentions, this kind of stuff. And yeah, those were not very good, but let's get to the top 20 because let's talk about the remake of The Nightmare on Elm Street because fucking hell, why was this done? Who the fuck asked for a remake of Nightmare on Elm Street? Who the fuck asked for Freddy to be made into a little goddamn bitch? Who the fuck asked for these kids to be even more unlikable than in the first one or the subsequent sequels? And who thought it was a good idea to remake something when the Friday the 13th remake that came out just about a year before wasn't all that good? I enjoyed it, but it wasn't all that good, admittedly. The dream sequences are crap. Everything was crap in this. It was painfully unnecessary and pretty goddamn unwatchable if you've ever seen it. Now, it's good for a laugh if you watch it with some drunk friends, but it's really, really goddamn bad. And number 19 was actually going to be the 2016 Blair Witch, but nope, it's The Possession of Hannah Grace. There's about 5 people in this fucking movie. There's a girl who's as part of an exorcism, has a devil in her, and she tries to take over people, and there's these weird cuts, and people that are suddenly near this, this being burned, bodies are being burned, or suddenly being burned alive and everything, and these bad cuts, and all this shit, and it's so goddamn horrible. This movie's fucking rotten. I reviewed this on the channel, by the way. Some of these other movies I reviewed on the channel, so you can check that out, the movie playlist that I will put in at the end of this video. But yeah, I did not like The Possession of Hannah Grace. And then we get to The Cloverfield Paradox, another goddamn crap fest from Netflix that they just shoved out there right after the Super Bowl was over. And I'm thinking, okay, hey, this could be worse. This could be, they could do worse marketing than this. This could be something that could be actually entertaining. It's not. This movie's fucking shit. It is really bad. And I don't know if they were going for sci-fi or they were going for horror, whatever they were going for something that I think they thought was grandiose and epic. Apparently it wasn't supposed to be a Cloverfield movie, but they wanted to shove the Cloverfield monsters in there. And even if they had taken the Cloverfield, even if they had taken the Cloverfield monsters out of there, even if they had called this something completely different, whatever the original title was, it still would have been bad. Because it was a terrible sci-fi movie and it wasn't very interesting, and fucking Christ. It was horrible. It was shit. Have I mentioned that? We think it's number 17, Unfriended the Dark Web. Something that probably should have worked out better than it did, because Unfriended shockingly did not even make my honorable mentions, because so much bullshit has come along since then that Unfriended actually was further down the ladder. Unfriended Dark Web, though, made the characters more unlikable, because at least with the first Unfriended, you had everybody on a goddamn Skype call or whatever the fuck it was, and this ghost of this girl was picking them off one by one and stuff like that. Okay, movie was bad, but alright, it was a central location. I mean, with video of other locations. In this one, you have a guy that steals a laptop of, like, somebody from a coffee shop, and he gets onto it and gets onto the dark web and stuff like that, and then these weird digital demon characters start killing his friends and stuff like that, and then he can't talk to his deaf girlfriend because he gets these people put a weird glitchy thing over his mouth, so she can't read his lips on the video, and she can't figure out she's standing right over the grave that he's buried alive in and stuff like that. And there are no likable characters in this, especially the guy where if you're supposed to feel bad for him, they didn't do a very good job with that. Yeah, this movie, pretty goddamn rotten. We get to number 16, Girl on the Third Floor. CM Punk in a horror movie. Shut up and take my money. Durb and I reviewed this, by the way. Durbinator and myself reviewed this. This was something that could have been so much better had they, I don't know, A, had a budget, and B, given a shit, because they didn't. There was CM Punk, there was a dog. The dog, by the way, the best actor in the movie. And it's not that Punk doesn't have a future in Hollywood, it just ain't in this. This ain't it, Chief. Wow, I sound so white saying that. There were a couple pretty women in it, and there were a lot of weird ghosts, and there was a lot of stuff where, had this was pointed out in the review, I think, had it been like a few people living in this house over time and just done short story stuff of it, CM Punk could have been part of one of them and then shown up as a ghost in another one, that could have worked. Unfortunately, they then tried to slam something in like in the last 20 minutes with like something else after Punk after he had died, and they did this, and it was this weird thing where like the pregnant wife should have known not to go in the goddamn house and ends up living in the house, and it's bad. It's fucking terrible. It's fucking terrible. It should have been called Girl in the Attic, because it was just an attic. It wasn't third floor. It was a fucking attic. God, I hated this. Number 15, Rings. Okay, so after The Ring 2, Electric Boogaloo, that nobody asked for, we get Rings years later, 2017 to be exact. I think this came out, Ring 2 came out in like 04, 05, something like that. So this came out over a decade later, and now this thing's gone digital, this tape's gone digital, and now Samara is like possessing people, and she's like killing them in various ways, like on a plane, on a train, and no, it's actually not like that. There's this one stupid plane scene, though. It's really, really goddamn bad. And then the idea is this network of people are trying to figure out, hey, we can beat the system if we pass it on to somebody else and stuff like that. It's kind of like It Follows, except It Follows at least tried to be different. Rings, though, is just like, you have Vincent D'Onofrio, who obviously is the villain in this. You have a girl who is worried that she's going to die because of this tape, and then suddenly, like, I guess I'm not going to, or whatever. There are these scary imagery, and this obvious villain that we're just going to go to and we're going to talk to, even though he obviously had something to do with it, and nothing was good about this. Rings was absolutely bad. Actually, I think this was one of the first reviews I did for the channel, because I didn't start doing reviews until 2017, beginning of 2017. But anyway, now we get on to the cheapest horror movie, the cheapest movie on this list by far, Selfie from Hell. Apparently it was based on a 2-minute short called Selfie, where this girl kept trying to take selfies, but then this ghost kept coming after her. And that was the basis of this movie. This movie if it had more than one take per scene, I would be absolutely amazed. The acting was absolute shit. To be fair, they also were probably just told, hey, we're not going to give you much of a script. You're just going to have to read your lines, and we'll just film it off camera, and you can just read your lines as you're on the phone, which is probably what they had to do, because if this movie took more than like a week to produce, I'd be amazed. It was probably shot over a weekend. The special effects couldn't even pass for anything from the 70s. I mean, my God. It was so bad. Like, myself and Durbinator watched this. We couldn't even review it. This is basically my review of Selfie from Hell. It is goddamn shit. It's a goddamn atrocity. And it's available on Amazon Instant Video, but you know what? Just wait until it's available on Netflix, Hulu, or something where you don't have to pay for it except your monthly subscription, because it's not even worth your money. Everybody's got to start somewhere, But my God, everybody should have just quit. They should have just said, you know what? No, we're going to fucking quit because the acting, everything. Oh God. So bad. Unfortunately, that should have been number one, but no, there were 13 films worse because Selfie from Hell, at least, you could excuse the fact that the budget was absolutely nothing. It was like maybe $500. But you can't excuse these other ones, in my opinion. Like Strangers, Pray at Night at number 13. One of my more popular reviews on the channel, and it was divisive. There were people that liked it. They thought it was better than the original. I didn't agree, but I'm not going to say that they're wrong because there are some people that did not like the original Strangers. I did. That's part of the reason why it's ranked right above some other movies that I may have hated more, because it hurt me what they did with the source material. And it's kind of funny that the girl that, the teenage girl that's in this was actually the little girl in Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, which was actually a pretty good movie. But this was bad. This was so goddamn bad. Like, why? Why did this happen? What in the world was going on? Why was there nobody, why did they go on vacation? Why did this family go on vacation to this isolated Camp Crystal Lake-esque trailer park? It just made no sense. And you had Christina Hendricks in there for star power. She got dispatched within the first bit. There was this cool part at this pool, and that was about it. But then they almost turned them into goddamn superheroes, the killers, because it's like they had cameras set up everywhere and they could just spot everything. And it wasn't good. It wasn't good at all. Number 12, Truth or Dare. Lucy Hale, by the way, is about 32, 33 years old and apparently doesn't age. Her and Selena Gomez must feast on the blood of the living. Well, that was a needless complaint or, accusation towards them. But in all seriousness, they look really young. It's actually kind of frightening. Maybe they found the fountain of youth and they haven't told anybody. Anyway, Lucy Hale is part of a group of friends that go partying, and they end up getting caught in this game of Truth or Dare where they have to play this game, and then the rules just keep getting made up all along, where you instead of just playing Dare, you have to do 2 truths, then a Dare. Or, instead of telling truth and just being embarrassed, nope, you gotta do, oh no, wait, we gotta change these rules because otherwise people are just gonna be embarrassed and we're not gonna have any horror elements. And no, we have this, and there's this weird face like this, like, oh, like that. Just all of this, ow. They just do that shit, and it's just it's a friggin' atrocity. It's so bad. The sad thing is that it wasn't even the worst movie of 2018, and I thought it was going to be. But no, there was something that was worse. We then get to number 11, Willow Creek. 2 people go hunting for Bigfoot in the woods. There's a guy that's in the that greets them and tries to throw shit to keep them away or whatever, because apparently Bigfoot is out there. There are 3 fucking people in this movie. There might have been little extras. No, I'm not talking about people from the Land of Oz in in like earlier scenes, but really it just was 3 people that got main screen time. And this couple. And it was found footage. And it was shit. I didn't care what happened. The fact that it was only 2 people. If it had been 6 people looking out for Bigfoot and stuff like that, and you could have picked them off here and there, okay, that would have been something. But there was no tension, no nothing, no scares. You didn't give a shit what happened to the couple. So why the fuck would it matter? We then get to number 10, Bye Bye Man. Don't think it, don't say it. Don't think it, don't say it. Don't think it, don't say it. Jenna Cannell, I think is her name. She played the psychic girl in this. She was the only good thing that came out of this movie. None of the cast is actually that bad. It's a little bit unfair to the cast. She was the one that appealed to me the most, and actually I've been trying to see what other movies she's done. She seems to be doing pretty good in horror movies and wanting to branch out and do other stuff. With this movie, though, it's just like it couldn't make up its mind. There was the main hero was at one point singing loudly, "Bye bye love, bye bye," because if you think it and say it, then you die. Okay, except they don't really go anywhere with it. And then there's this comically, hilarious, as opposed to comically unhilarious scene where he hits a woman out in the road, and it's just absolutely great. The movie's bad. The movie's really bad. The villain, the fleshy dog, whatever the hell that is, and the Bye Bye Man is just like this, and they're probably going to do a sequel, which I'll hate. Anyway, we get on to number 9, Black Christmas. Reviewed this very recently. It basically to say one of the worst slashers I've seen in a while. And on my worst movies of 2019 list. Obviously, if you couldn't have guessed that from the review, it's obviously there. And then we go on number 8, Ouija. it wouldn't have been even on the top 20, except they go with this whole thing where, hey, this little girl has been this little girl, like, is she's this doll, and it's like she needs to have her mouth cut open so she can attack her mother. Her mother's been doing this killing. Her mother's been killing all these people. Then it turns out actually it's the little girl who's been doing the killing. The mother's been trying to stop her. So here's the question: who the fuck was doing the killing then? They never explained that. It never made any goddamn sense. And also, it was based around a board game. The sad thing is the prequel, Ouija, the Origin of Evil, I believe, was actually pretty good. This wasn't. My God. Number 7, In the Tall Grass. Also one that I recently reviewed as part of a double review. Terrible. It's a terrible movie. Patrick Wilson was having to overact and do a whole bunch of bullshit and everything, and it just wasn't good. It wasn't scary. It was like a lot of bad Stephen King adaptations. It just wasn't very good. And I would actually go so far as to say I pretty much hated this movie. We then get to number 6, Slender Man. Yep, Slender Man. It was based on the whole meme thing, and actually a real life murder that took place or not murder, but attempted murder with those two girls that should never see the light of day, by the way. They never fucking should. When they tried to kill their friend. And this was just bad. Joey King needs to get in better movies. The cast they were what they were. I'm not going to knock the cast here, really, but there was a lot of stupid decisions that the script had them do that really didn't add up a whole lot. And Derb and I reviewed this. Go watch that. But yeah, Slender Man's number 6. Number 5, Bird Box. Netflix original movie. Hyped to the gills. People were like, this is great. No, it was bad. It was one of the worst movies I've seen in the last decade, easily. Not just horror movies. The last decade. I would put this up in my at least top 25. So then we get to number 4, Atrocious. Very apt title, very popular, or very, accurate title that is, and very popular cliche of doing found footage stuff, and it's a family that goes to a vacation home in Spain and everything, and weird shit starts happening. Their dog dies at the bottom of a well, and ghostly shit happens, and it turns out the mother just went insane and started killing people. I guess. That's about what I gathered from the movie. I watched the movie twice just to make sure that I wasn't going insane than I already am. And no, that's what it basically was. It was not scary. None of the imagery was scary. There was some cool cinematography because it was a very beautiful location because it was a Spanish villa. This was a bad movie. This was a really bad movie and fits with the title. Number 3, Apollo 18. Well, we have people that go up to the moon. There's a Russian guy up there, and then there are weird crab creatures in the moon rocks that kill people, and that's why we never went back to the moon. That's about it. Apollo 18 is absolute garbage. 100% garbage. I'm embarrassed that this movie exists. I'm embarrassed that anybody was given money to direct this goddamn movie. And it was also found footage bullshit. So, yay, hooray. I like found footage movies. I like them when they're done right. Number 2, Mother. I don't care if Mother falls under exact horror or whatever, psychological horror, but you take a look at a movie that's got Jennifer Lawrence, Javier Bardem, Ed Harris, and Michelle Pfeiffer. Directed by Darren Aronofsky. Almost said Aaron Aronofsky. But a guy that directed one of my favorite movies of the last decade, Black Swan, and he directed this. This was a divisive as fuck movie, and I know that my review, even though I didn't spoil a bunch of it, I'm going to spoil it here because fuck you, it's an Adam and Eve story. And it's not a very good one. And it's a God and Mother Earth thing also, and it's terrible. It's not anything where it's like, oh, you just can't handle the imagery, or this kind of. There were people that were actually saying, like, to any critics of the movie, actual critics, well, they just can't handle the imagery, they just can't handle how visceral it is. There's a difference between being visceral and making a movie so atrocious, not the movie atrocious, that it will get you blacklisted from Hollywood. Mother may have done it. And Darren Aronofsky actually is not a bad director. Again, Black Swan, really fucking good. The Wrestler, pretty fucking good. He's made other movies. Mother was offensive to me. And it was offensive to me because as cool as some of the imagery looked, it just was something that just kept throwing stuff at you for the sake of throwing stuff at you. None of the performances were any good. And despite that cast, and you think that cast would have been a whole lot better, nope. This movie was goddamn shit. An absolute atrocity, an embarrassment to filmmaking, period. I don't care if people want to rail against me because, because Mother's up here, because it deserves to be. It's fucking shit. And it's a goddamn atrocity. It's a goddamn abortion. But only one more movie is more of an abortion, and that is The Haunting of Sharon Tate at number 1. It takes the whole Sharon Tate murder and puts a spinny, supernatural, spoopy vibe on it. Yeah, that's where we're going with it. And it was bad. It was really, really bad. No good acting, no good nothing, no good shots. A lot of dream sequences, a lot of crap, and it's just, Manson sending his cult out there, one of the guys in the Manson cult getting dispatched, everybody else getting dispatched. You want to see something where they deal with the Sharon Tate, stuff better? Watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I didn't expect much from this movie, and I got less, and that's saying something. So those are my 20 least favorite horror movies of the last decade with honorable mentions. Yes, if I skipped through any of them, I'm sorry. I've reviewed a lot of these, so what's the point of chewing my food twice? Anyway, do you agree, disagree with what I said? What are some of your least favorite horror movies of the last decade? Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin, and I'll see you soon.